see it on Facebook. It's under the Congregation Beth Yeshurun Facebook page, right?
It is.
Yeah, there we go. Got it. Okay, so I want to thank everyone for joining us today. This is really an opportunity, one more time with me, as we prepare for Passover. Passover is less than a week away, this upcoming Wednesday night. So I know it's a busy time for all of us, but I hope all of us will still have an opportunity to do Passover, to be with those we love, even if we're by ourselves. And I want to remind everyone too, you can join a Zoom Seder if you choose. You can join with other people, with Rabbi Morgan first night, and Rabbi Fort will be offering a young family Seder and a young adult Passover Seder on the second night. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Moses today. Ashley, is there any way to enlarge the PDF I sent you yesterday about who was Moses, so I can see it too while everyone's doing it?
Yes, we can actually, if you want to share your screen, if you have that open, there's a little green button at the bottom that says share screen.
Okay. So let me open it up first. So I first need to open it up?
Yes.
Okay. Give me just a second, everyone.
I'm also going to post a link for those of you that are participating, link to the PDF in the Facebook group, as well as this meeting.
Got it. So does everyone see, Ashley, do you see the sheet now? The Who was Moses?
I do. I see it just as you do. Perfect.
Okay. Great. So this is a lot of people forget, we've seen the movies, as great as Hollywood is, and I love almost all the movies that have been done about Moses and the Exodus. The one challenge of the movies, it almost taints our understanding of what really happened based on the Torah. If you see the Ten Commandments, which we've all seen with Charlton Heston, or the Disney, the DreamWorks Exodus story that was done in the 90s. We assume that Moses knew he was an Israelite, knew he was different the whole time he was being raised in Pharaoh's palace. But we don't know that for sure. The Torah says very little about what Moses knew or didn't know. In fact, really the first time that we think we know Moses has some relation to the Israelites is this verse. So I want to share this verse with you, and then we'll talk a little bit about who Moses really was and why Moses was so great and how we can relate to Moses, especially this year, and how Moses, in this idea, in this vision of who Moses was, can really make us better people, I think, in many ways, as we spiritually prepare for Seder. So the verse says in the second book of Shemot, right at the beginning of the Exodus story, it says, Vayihi bayamim hahem v'yigdal Moshe v'yetzeh el achav v'yar b'svotam v'yar ish mitzri makeh ish ivri me'achav. So sometime after that, when Moses had grown up, he went out to his kinsfolk and he witnessed their labors. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his kinsmen. So sometime after that, which we think the Torah is basically saying, like, while he was being raised. So now he's a young adult, right? He's not this baby that was discovered by Pharaoh's daughter. He's a young adult now, right? He's grown up. And he went out to his kinsfolk and he witnessed their labors, right? So we can question, right? Did he ever witness their labors before? And why is he using the word kinsfolk, right? And we see it again. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his kinsmen. So the Torah is trying to teach us something here very valuable, I think, that it repeats the word, right? And when the Torah repeats a word, it's telling us something, right? That the Torah really wants us to emphasize that Moses, perhaps for the very first time, saw the Hebrews were his kinsmen, right? There's something about what they were experiencing, their slavery, their cruelty in which the Egyptians were treating them, that Moses identifies with them, right? And so Moses does something. What does Moses do? Well, we're all familiar with it. Moses beats and kills the Egyptian taskmaster, right? He doesn't let this go. He stands up and tries to protect the innocent Hebrew slave. Okay, so let's go down. Let's see some comments on this. So the very first comment from our rabbis, and the rabbis have a lot to say about this verse, as you can imagine. The first rabbi, Tiferet Shlomo, says, but it already stated that the child grew. Right? The verse right before this said that Moses grew. Why does it have to say again, Moses had grown up? Right? So again, the rabbis, when they see some type of redundancy, they always grab on that as the Torah is teaching us something. There's a hidden meaning in that. So why this seeming redundancy? Rabbi Huda Bar Rabbi Elazar said that the first refers to physical stature and the second to greatness. So the Torah is repeating that to tell us Moses first grew physically, but more importantly, he grew in greatness, right? Mentally, his personality, his character. Here the Torah teaches us the greatness of Moses, who went out to his brothers. In other words, each of them was to him like a brother for whom he was willing to give his life. So my question for you is, and if someone feels comfortable unmuting themselves or texting, or if you're on Zoom, maybe put the thumbs up, or if you're on Facebook, feel free to answer. Why does this make Moses so great? You know, what's so great about standing up for the Israelite slaves? What in particular about Moses here makes him so great that he stood up for the Hebrew slave? Anyone want to take a shot? Any answer is a good answer. Okay, and feel free, if you have an answer, type it in. And if not, that's okay too. So what I think the rabbis are reminding us, and why the Torah would repeat it, is that Moses here didn't have to stand up, right? Moses could have easily just lived the good life, right? He was a prince. He was living in the palace. These slaves made his life much easier, right? Why stand up? He's living a pretty darn good life in the palace. Why even get involved? But let's go down. Let's look at the second comment. Moses did not grow in the normal way. The normal way is that when a person becomes famous, he forgets or pretends to forget his brothers, his relatives, and his friends, and ignores their problems. However, we are told that even though Moses had grown, he attained a high rank in the country, becoming a member of Pharaoh's household, he nevertheless did not grow in the normal way. Even after he had attained that rank, he did not forget his brothers and friends, and he went out to his brethren. It was then that he took an interest in their fate and sought ways to save them from their distress. So again, Moses, most people in Moses' situation would have just kept on living in the palace. Maybe they felt a little bad about the slaves, what's happening, but I'm not going to get involved. I got a pretty good deal going. Why even care? Well, let's go to the third comment, which not only shows us the greatness of Moses, but just shows us how bad things had gotten for the Israelites. Moses saw that the yoke of their slavery was so great that the Israelites had repressed their feelings about the burdens of Egypt. He spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. The other Jews, though, did not even notice the fact that one of their brothers was being beaten and humiliated. For Moses, this was intolerable. So it had gotten so bad for the Israelites that they didn't even notice that another Jew was getting beaten up. They were so afraid. They were so scared. It's like they expected it to happen. They become numb to the humiliations. They become numb to what it can even mean like to be free and safe and secure. That's how bad things had gotten in Egypt. They didn't even notice when other people were being beaten and humiliated. And as I share these comments, think about our world today, not just right now as we're experiencing this coronavirus and many of us are stuck at home, but in general, right? Have things gotten so bad that we don't even notice when other people are being persecuted, when other people are being humiliated, when other people are being beaten, when other people are being ignored? Are we more like Moses, or are we more like a bystander who really doesn't get involved? Are we an upstander, or we just go about our lives not really wanting to notice or pay attention? But not Moses. And that brings me to the next comment on the second page, the very next chapter. So Moses, he stands up for the Hebrew. He kills the Egyptian taskmaster. And the next day, he's walking around and he sees two Hebrews fighting. And he tells them, why are you fighting? He asks them, why are you fighting against each other? And they blow him off. They say, who are you? Right? You're the one who killed the Egyptian taskmaster. So Moses realizes it's known. He has to flee for his life. He leaves Egypt. He goes to Midian. He ends up there. He ends up meeting his future wife at the well. He moves in the house of his father-in-law, Yitro, and he becomes a shepherd. And for the next 40 years, life is pretty good, right? Maybe he's even forgotten what it's like to be in Egypt. He's gone about his business. He has children. He has great relations with in-laws. He has a wonderful marriage. He's a shepherd, very different than living in the palace of Pharaoh, but life is pretty good. And one day, he's out shepherding his sheep, and he notices something very unusual. And of course, that's the burning bush, right? And we imagine, by the way, no one else has ever noticed it before, right? I mean, it's pretty unusual to have a bush that is on fire but is never consumed. And this is what the Torah says. When Moses notices the burning bush, this is one of the first things God ever says to Moses. Vayomer al tigra halom shal na'alecha mi'al raglecha ki hamakom asher ata omed alav adamat kodeshu. And God said, do not draw near. Take off your shoes from your feet, for the place in which you stand is holy ground. So why take off your shoes, right? What do you think God would say? Moses, what's going on? Welcome. It's good to choose you. I've got an important mission for you. But instead of doing any of that first, he tells him to take off his shoes. So there's a great comment here that I thought was really powerful. Take off your shoes. The world is always full of sharp objects or stones. When one wears shoes, he can easily step on the small stones lying on the way, almost without feeling them. However, when one walks barefoot, he feels every small thing lying on the ground, every thorn, every painful stone. God said to Moses, the leader of Israel, take off your shoes. The leader of the generation must feel every obstacle and every impediment on the road. He must feel the pain of his people and realize what is bothering them. I love that comment. That's always been a very powerful comment for me, right? For Moses to be this great leader who's going to be able to take out all of these slaves, men, women, children of all ages, no matter who they are, he has to feel their pain, right? The people that are the best leaders are the ones who really understand what the people are going through, who can relate. Those are the leaders we like to follow, right? Those are the leaders we try to be, right? Whether we're leaders in our family, the office, in our communal organizations that we're involved with, whatever that may be, can we take off our shoes, right? And, after we go through this whole coronavirus and we finally are done with this, God willing soon, maybe we'll be able to take off more of our shoes, right? And realize the obstacles and impediments that so many people deal with on a daily basis before the coronavirus and after the coronavirus, right? We'll be able to take off more of our shoes. And what are our shoes? Is it social media? It kind of takes more of our attention from the real world, our cell phones. Is it our luxuries? Is it our nice homes? What are our shoes that block us from realizing what is really bothering and upsetting and persecuting and causing so much pain for people out there in the community. So I hope, if anything, we can learn from this experience to feel the thorns and to feel the painful stones. Many of us are feeling it now for the first time or more than we ever have before. Can we take off our shoes and keep them off even when this passes? I thought that's a beautiful thing to really think about as we go through and get ready for Passover. So I want to share one more thing with you. Let me open that up. And Ashley has the link as well, and she could post that. This is a great article I read the other day. A Passover during a pandemic, when Elijah is our only guest, which I think, unfortunately, many of us can realize. Many of us are going to experience for the first time. And I mentioned at the beginning, but again, you can, if you don't have anyone to do Seder with, or even if you do, and you want to, do Seder with other people in a very technological way, my colleagues are offering some beautiful online Seders next week. So just go to our website for information. So I'm going to go to the bottom of this article. It's a great article, and I encourage you to read it afterwards in its entirety. But we're all familiar with Elijah, right? Elijah is one of our few guests this year at Seder, right? Someone sent me a funny meme this morning. I'll actually share it with you. It's here on my phone. I got this a few times. The fifth question for this year's Passover: how are we going to let Elijah into our homes if he's been to everyone else's home? So I thought that was pretty funny, but it's really true, right? Now, why do we welcome Elijah? Why not Moses, right, or Miriam, or Aaron? Why Elijah? Well, it's because according to our tradition, Elijah is going to be the prophet who's going to announce to the world when the Messiah is here. It's Elijah who's going to say to the world, things are going to get better. The Messiah is here. And he's going to bring about the ultimate redemption, the ultimate salvation. Passover is about temporary freedom, right? Temporary salvation. The ultimate salvation is when the Messiah comes, according to the tradition. So let me take you to the last paragraph, because second to last paragraph of this article, I thought this would be a beautiful enhancement of putting out Elijah's cup this year that we can really relate to in this year, 2020. This year, in addition to Elijah's cup, she writes, we could add another cup to represent all the guests who are absent from our Seder. I propose taking a cue from the 19th century rabbi Naphtali of Ropshitz, who used to fill Elijah's cup with drops from every guest's own drink, symbolizing that redemption could only arrive when every soul added his or her special gift to the community. Pair Elijah's cup with another goblet and pass it around your Passover table. Have each member of your group add a drop of grape juice or wine or whatever you're drinking to the cup, and mention someone you wish were at the Seder, and describe what their gifts are and how you would like to bring those gifts to the world. And then, so I think that's a beautiful idea that I'm going to do next Wednesday night and Thursday night with my family. And I just thought that was a beautiful idea, right? This Passover is going to be so different than any other Passover we've ever done. So let's add a nice little custom. That's what we can, as Jews, can do, modern day Jews. That has a lot of symbolism and meaning for us. And when we welcome Elijah into our homes, let it give us hope, right? Spiritual hope that this is going to pass. This is going to get better. Life is going to return to normal. Hopefully soon. It may be a while. We don't know, but it will happen. And just as our ancestors have had Seders in even much more difficult circumstances, they always kept that hope, because the Passover Seder is not about our freedom right now. It's about the freedom we hope to have. And so that's we can really relate to more than ever before. So with that, are there any questions? Anyone have any questions at all about anything I went over today, or any questions as we get ready for Passover?
Nothing on Facebook at the moment, but I think your sound just went down. You were very quiet. So I just want to make sure everyone can hear you. That Rabbi Strauss just asked if there were any questions on his presentation today.
Sorry that my audio went out. Weird. I wonder why. Well, when did the audio go down? Just at the very end, Ashley?
It did, just the very end, but sounds like you're back.
Okay. Okay. Good. I'm not sure what happened, but Lily, you didn't miss anything, and I appreciate everyone joining us. And if you have any questions, you need any help, anything you need, email me, call me, or any of our wonderful staff here at the synagogue. We're here for you. I really appreciate everyone who's been joining these lunch and learns. I know my colleagues and I really enjoyed this time with you every day at noon. I want to thank Ashley and Jennifer, our wonderful staff, for making this possible. And I want to wish everyone an early Chag Kasher V'Sameach, a happy and joyous and a kosher Passover. Thanks, everyone.